This episode of Jackie's Groove is brought to you by Jambox. Jambox is a hands-free, breath-powered MIDI instrument that brings the joy of music creation to all ages and all abilities. Visit jambox.com, JAMBOXX.com.
Don't give a piece of yourself away.
Why?
Every time you make a choice that you know is against your core values, it's just a slippery slope, and then you give more and more of yourself away. Before you know it, you're somewhere you never intended to be. And that happened to me. And that's what I caution young kids about all the time, is be true to yourself. If you don't feel a certain way, don't act like you feel a certain way. Don't do this because you think it's cool to do this.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Like Steve McQueen running a fast machine with you. You take it back to Talladega, burning down a back road, one that goes on and on and on. Swimming memories in the left lane, singing on some George Strait. Girl, you know the words to every song. Destination on the down low, we don't really ever know or even have a freaking clue. But girl, I don't care, as long as getting somewhere means getting somewhere. I know.
Everybody, welcome to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Media. Connect all things music. Hey guys, I'm really proud and privileged to bring on this new brother. Is tearing it up the charts. A great vocalist out of the Nashville area. His name is Dave McElroy, or McElroy. I want to make sure I'm doing that, pronouncing it correctly. There, we talked about it before, and Paulie, I screwed up, and D-Mac, I screwed up again, but it's okay. Hey, we're going to educate. If you're going to be hearing any noise in the background, Dave is in the studio right now. I'm in the studio, and Paul's in the studio. We're in 3 different studios in 3 parts of the country, so we're going to do the best. Let's just start out, man, and welcome with open arms and open airs to Jackie's Groove, Dave D-Mac McElroy. What's going on, brother?
Hey, boys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it so much. What a blast.
Hey, man,
how are things up in the Northland right now?
Man, you know what? It's where I'm at. It's 90 degrees today. Can you believe it or not? It's
Where are you at?
Yeah, today? I know. I'm in Temecula, the headquarters, the studio, the network's in San Diego, and the part of the world that you're going to be calling from, I think, is a little bit cooler. So, but let's turn up the heat, man.
Right
today.
Now I'm in Minnesota, so yeah, it's a little chillier here today.
Man.
Nashville Wednesday. Yeah.
So, Dave, educate the people, man. What is going on with your life right now, man? What's happening? What's in store?
You know, it's kind of a crazy run right now. Our last single did really well, and we released this new single, and it's just taken off like hotcakes. And it's been really fun. We've just been going around the country, meeting fans, and doing radio station tour. Basically, that's our focus right now is radio station tour. And then in May, we kick off our tour, actually with a big show for Harley Davidson. So I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. They're having a big membership group and a big ride-in. And so we're going to do that. And I think we're going to do their anniversary shortly after that. And that's going to be our kickoff of the actual tour this summer. So it's a really, really fun time. Guys, you're not going to believe what is happening here. I'm in the studio, right? And this studio has a kitchen area. And it's the quietest place I could find because all the studios are active and all the hallways of people like talking, conversing, like artists do. I'm in the kitchen, and of course, as soon as our conversation starts, the ice maker's starting to go off and just blowing up cubes everywhere. So I hope that is not terribly annoying on the other end of the phone.
Never ever apologize. Don't ever apologize for being a working player, man. That's the thing we all strive for. I want to ask you a question too, with regards to being in the country thing, going on and meeting the fans. Is Nashville still heavily involved with Fanfare?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's huge. Fanfare is massive in Nashville. It comes at the end of CMA Fest, and Nashville is very, very, very heavily involved. They always have, I guess the biggest, feature of that might be they take over Nissan Stadium, and they do massive concerts with the biggest country music artists for all the fans, and the stadium's absolutely packed every night. And but there's lots of other things going on too. There's lots of concerts in the streets during that time that time of year and in that week. And it's a really fun time. It's great. You guys should come down. Come on down. We'll help you drink together. You can camp out at my place. It'll be a blast.
I love it, man, because I went to, oh God, it's been, I didn't want to date myself. It's back in the millennial turning of the 2000 year. I recorded an album with the Beach Boys called Stars and Stripes, in which the surf met the turf. We did all the guys, Vince Gill, Garth Brooks, Lori Morgan, Doug Supernaw, all the guys. Greats. All the greats got together. The Beach Boys chose their favorite singer. The singer chose the favorite Beach Boys song, and therein laid an amazing album called The Beach Boys Stars and Stripes. And I went to my first Fanfare, and I was amazed, man, because the other genres of music out there should learn from the country vein of music, because Fanfare, and I'm going to let you explain to the listening audience that doesn't know what Fanfare is. I can talk all the time, but I want to hear from the horse's mouth. Exactly, what do you do for your fans?
It's a whole week of celebrating with your fans. It's just like, so for me, I hate calling them fans. I absolutely hate it. And if you've seen any of my YouTube videos or any of my other stuff, I like to call them friends, because I swear to you, I meet the most interesting, greatest people while I'm out on tour, and we just end up. I don't think I've met anybody that I didn't think was super cool to date. You know what I mean? And it's really, you'll find my band like out before the big festivals. We'll sneak out. We'll end up going to play, beanbag tosser. They call it cornhole and stuff. We'll end up finding that, somebody to play with or just hang out. And we'll hang out sometimes for hours with fans before a show starts. And sometimes they don't even know who we are. And of course, then sometimes not. You just get bum rushed. But it's fun. It's super fun. But Fanfare, getting back to the original question, Fanfare is where you get to spend time with your fans. It's all about them. It's always in country music. I think it's very different than other genres of music. And with that, I would say the exception rule is probably Dave Grohl, who I believe is all about his fans. I think his fans are the most important thing in the world to him. And
we're nothing.
We're
nothing without him.
It's not. It's not. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is he gets that. He's of all the performers, and this is country, every genre of music, he is my favorite, because this guy loves his fans to the 10th degree. And when he's out there, it's not about him, it's about them. I mean, you guys heard about the show where he broke his ankle, right?
Yeah.
He broke his ankle on stage, sat down. Well, they taped him up. He went back and finished the show with as much energy as he would normally have, because they were there to see him perform that night, and he was going to give them everything he could. So but that's what Fanfare is about. It's about connecting closely with your fans and being out on the street with them. And, it's a time of year where you'll find a lot of A-listers will actually go down to Broadway, and they'll play on Broadway. They'll play the stages on Broadway and just get a little more intimate, a little closer with their fans, and then they put on all the fun things that they can. So it's a really cool experience for the fans. And it's pandemonium down there. Let me tell you, man, it's crazy time.
Yeah, I know. I've experienced it one time, and I'm still painting from it, man. I want to ask you a question, I find this the cross section of what ignited your career. When you were listening to the Louis Armstrong, how does a country boy, and being so and gravitating so much towards the baritone sounds of Louis, was that the type of music that you listened to and said, I love that music? Or did you listen to that music and said to yourself at the young age, I want to make music like that? What inspired you? And share with us about that.
Yeah. Well, when I first heard Louis, I was in the second grade. And my great uncle was playing them on an actual, on an LP, on a phone, on a record player.
Right.
And I could hear his voice, and it mesmerized me. And I'm like, oh my gosh! I sat down and I listened to the whole album with my uncle, and I was just, I came from a very musical family. We all sang, we all did musical theater, we all played instruments. But for me, it was different than my brothers and sisters. For them, it was something they enjoyed. It was something they have fun with. But for me, it was like breathing. As early as I could remember, it was so much more to me than all of them. You know what I mean? And so I heard him playing, I heard him singing, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And then my mom went to the library, she got me some videos on him, and then I got to see him play the trumpet and see his cheeks way out to here and wiping the sweat off his face and the passion in which he played and the joy in which he played. And that's all that she wrote for me. I mean, I was just, you know, it was funny because I had to do a book report, and it was supposed to be a 1-paragraph book report because, you know, we were in the 2nd grade, and I ended up writing 2 pages. So I got the gold star that day, brother.
You know, but that was the inspiration. Louis was your inspiration. Wasn't Hank Williams or wasn't and the like itself. But how does that music of Louis Armstrong? Well, how do you gravitate towards becoming a country singer?
Because it was soulful. You got to remember, at the same time I was listening to stuff like that, I was also listening to country. So like every day I got 3 taps. It was 3 taps on the door between 5 and 5:30, and my dad would say half hour. And that meant I had a half hour to get up, get dressed, or shower, dress, make my breakfast, eat it, make my lunch, and be out the door with my dad for work. And every morning we'd walk out the door quietly, and my dad would have his big mug of coffee, and he'd take a huge sip out of his cup of coffee so it wouldn't spill on the floor, but he'd set it on the floorboard. I remember that smell every morning. You know, my dad had this really old truck that he took great care of, like old truck. It was so old it had an 8-track player in it. And every morning on our way to work, my dad would slide in one of the greats, Hank or Loretta or, you know, any one of the greats. And that's what we just quietly listened to music on our way into work together. And I started working when I was like 10, you know, so go ahead.
And I want to stop and say that for a second here because, you know, we do have a great cross-section of listening audience with Jackie's Groove worldwide. I mean, it's dropping, meaning it's getting younger and younger every month, and we're really proud of that. But I do want to explain one thing to the listeners out there. Dave just mentioned the fact about an 8-track. Let's go above and beyond that. Let's go to a cassette. I have a T-shirt that has just a whole bunch of cassette tapes on the front of it, and I get, on occasion, people want to know, when I say people, the kids want to know, what are those? Yeah. And I'm going, oh my God, then you don't know the magic of taking a number 2 pencil when you had to tighten up the cassette when it was stretched out. But on the 8-track, you remember 8-track and how crazy that was, where you only had a chance not to spin through the music, the songs, but the actual tracks from 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, it's amazing. And I want to find out from you. In fact, I just got an email right now, and I'm going to go off I'm going to go out of my comfort zone. My niece, Devaney. My niece, Devaney, says, Uncle Jackie, please do me a favor. And I will, not just because she's my niece, she's gorgeous. But the fact is, she goes, can you ask Dave, out of respect, is he a married man or is he taken? I know. But I promised her I would. I promised her to ask her.
Well, yes. Thank you for asking. That's very polite of you. It's very wonderful. But yes, I am taken. So
okay, that's and that's in our family. We understand that if you are with somebody else, it's hard enough to keep the relationship together. But I promised my favorite niece that I would definitely ask. So on to the next thing, my friend. I'm sure she's going to be.
So for those of you who don't know, though, we got to finish this conversation. So you've got CDs, right? And now CDs are almost becoming obsolete because of the digital world. Prior to that, we had the tapes, and I think most people know what a tape deck is. But before that, it was like if you could think of a piece of like Texas toast, thick, like 1 inch thick, and what were they, about 4 inches wide and maybe like 6 inches deep, 5-6 inches deep, and you would slide this thing into this big, huge opening that looked like a VCR opening, and they won't know what a VCR is either. And it was hilarious, but I mean, it was, but that's, so I grew up heavily influenced by different, okay, this is gonna make you really laugh. Now I grew up with a deep, deep love of country music, and I lived the country lifestyle. I worked on farm equipment and all that kind of stuff with my dad, and my dad sold farm equipment and chemicals and fertilizers to farmers. And so every time somebody got sick, the flu ran through a family, or somebody broke a leg, or this happened or that happened, off my brothers and I would go to work. You know what I mean? And we go work whatever farm, and we were always working some farm just about every day of the week. And so I grew up in a very country lifestyle, very country music. But I also, you know where I learned to fluctuate my voice, to roll my voice, fluctuate my voice?
Sure.
I learned singing Stevie Wonder.
Really?
So I would sing Stevie Wonder's tunes, and that's how I naturally, organically learned to manipulate my voice. And so Stevie Wonder was a huge influence to me as well. And so it's interesting because, you know, I'd be singing all the country stuff, but I'd be singing everything else too. There's nothing that I didn't love to hear or listen to. When I was younger, I would get, you know, my mom would play a lot of classical, and I'd get, you know, a little annoyed with that once in a while.
Oh, wow.
But I grew to appreciate it, as my first instrument I ever played was the violin. So,
you know,
yeah, that was my very first instrument.
When you bring up the fact about family, mom and dad, are they still with us today?
Yeah. They are, thankfully. God bless.
Thank God.
Yeah. Oh, you don't even know. My dad actually just had a real rough run in the hospital. We're still with him, and so that's pretty tough. My dad is older, and my mom is 10 years younger than my dad, but I've got them both. It's great, and I love my mom and dad deeply. I love all my brothers and sisters. Family to me is the most important thing, and I come from a really great family. I've got 5 brothers and sisters, and it's the best. I really have a great family.
How do they respond to your success?
Oh, you know, I'm just Dave.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Good.
They're happy for me, but we all have our successes. You know what I mean? It's you know, in different ways. You know, my family, we have this common thread that runs through all of us. We're all very similar, and yet we're all incredibly different. You know what I mean? And I'm the 5th of 6 kids, and you know, we're just always happy for each other's successes, but it's not a thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
hey, Dean,
yeah.
I want to ask you a question. Also, you mentioned the family. You mentioned the mom and dad. You mentioned your brothers and or your siblings. I'll say that, brothers and sisters. But was there an outside of the source family of someone in the family that was like a mentor that actually that helped you? You know, and encouraged you to explore music and what music was all about. Was there a person in your life that you can look outside the family about that?
Like outside of my family that encouraged me with the music?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yes.
You know, yes. His name was Father Guyan. I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. And Father Guyan was amazing. Before he became a priest, he was a Broadway producer. And
really?
So we had, it's just an amazing guy. And so we had this huge theater at our high school. It seated 1,100 people. And we would put on these massive productions. Like Father Guyan would spend $35,000 on sets, or, you know, $40,000 on sets for high school production. And it was so good, his productions he put on, that we would sell out the entire theater for 12 shows every year. And the school would make a ton of money off these productions because, you know, what's what I'm looking for Pete's sake. The costumes were great, the sets were great, and he brought the best out of us. And he's the one that taught me staging, and he taught me projection, and he taught me to really get to know and own my voice. And so he was one of the very first people that really, really influenced me deeply in the world of, you know, I've never been nervous going on stage because I believe in large part because of him. And I've done some pretty big shows, and I just walk out there because it's never about me. He taught me to make it about the audience and about who is out there, and to, you know, just be prepared and be the very best that I can to give them a great night. And, you know, it's just awesome. I love him deeply. He's passed away now. He actually gave me his violin that he played for years and years and years.
Beautiful.
About 5-6 years before he passed away. So he used to love Chili John's chili. Do you guys have Chili John's chili up there?
Not out in the West Coast, at least not that I've not experienced it at all.
Well, it's a hot, spicy chili. So every time I came into town, I'd pick him up and we'd go out and get Chili John's chili. Like, Father Guy, and what are you doing? Do you have some time today? He always had time because he's getting older.
Yeah, man.
He's like, sure. He's like, sure. You want to get some chili? I'm like, you bet I do. And we'd go get Chili John's chili and hang out for a couple hours, and I'd bring him back to the rectory, and he was just great. He was just awesome.
That's so funny that you say that, because not only are we musicians, we share something else in common. I was an altar boy at St. Gregory the Great in Whittier, California. I'm not going to say, and Father Mackey, I know you're up in heaven. You're looking down at us, man. I always make a joke out of this, and we made it through, Catholic school, catechism, and for those out there, forgive Dave and I for falling back into this, this memory here. And I never understood the word catechism. I understood, but to make the family proud during the confirmation, during the communion, the first Holy Communion, it was crazy. And I always made a joke out of it. I always made it through Catholic school, and I made it without being touched. And I don't mean that, and I won't lead into it any further than that. But the fact is, Father Mackey was amazing. I mean, he was a man. And truth be told, Dave, I didn't go to Catholic school. I went to regular school. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, St. Gregory was right on the corner from my house. I was enamored and in absolute awe when I found out that they drank Blue Nun wine out of the chalice. And my mom had explained to me the fact that Blue Nun wasn't a situation from the Catholic Church. And, it was a commercial grade wine. But I remember all of the growing up in the Catholic situation. Now, and I don't want to sit there and tout religion and politics, but I think Catholicism, I don't have a really fond feeling of Catholicism to this day, as we live and breathe. But you know what? Yeah. Whatever your faith is, man, whatever drives you to make you happy. Right. If you want to sit there and pray to the rock in the front of your porch, then knock yourself out, man. I mean, I'm not here to tell you what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah, what's right or wrong or whatever. For me, I've got a strong sense of my faith and my Catholicism. I love where I came from, and it made me the person I am today, which is a caring, loving person. I've got several members of our family that are clergy, including a nephew that's clergy.
Really?
One of my cousins was secretary to the Pope, and another one transcribed all of Pope John Paul II's writings. So he would write, he'd write his writings, and then my cousin would translate it into 7 different languages. So we've got it runs deep in our family, and I was about to go on touch on the subject you stepped away from, but I'm going to let it go.
Please. No, hey, bro. Hey, Dave, this is your show, man. You say whatever you want to say, whatever.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say this then, because I read a report about 7 years ago, because the Catholic Church is always getting just annihilated for
always under fire.
Happened. What's on fire and what all that's going on. And I read this report, and the Catholic Church is the largest church in the world. It's huge, and I believe anyway. So, but if you took a sampling of the of Protestant churches, and I don't care if Protestant, Catholic, I don't care what you are, but we all believe the same thing as Christians, and that is that the Lord came and died for our sins, that we might be with Him again in heaven. So this isn't harshing on anybody. And what I'm saying is that they took a sampling of they had to add a bunch of churches together. You know what I mean? To make up the size of the Catholic Church. And then they looked at how many abuse cases there were, and it actually far eclipsed the Catholic Church's cases of that nature. And but the Catholic Church is the largest, and so it takes all the shots. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, of course.
And so that's always bothered me, especially since I read that report. But let's get off that subject, shall we?
But I want to find out, though. No, but you open a can of worms, Dave, and I mean a good can of worms. When you are up in the public eye and you're performing and so on, and you have a sense of faith, again, to understand, you're talking to a former altar boy, and I still believe Christ is my Lord and living Savior. But I'm the first one to say fuck and shit and so on and so forth, and argue with him and so on. But when you're up on stage, and do you feel ever compelled with the audience to share your beliefs with them, or is that not the place to do so?
I do in this way, okay? And this is great that you asked me that, because one of the reasons, or the main reason, that I am embarking, and this is something that no one knows. No one knows. So we're about to share it for the first time. It's just one of the things the reason I'm doing this is because if even one fan, I don't ever go on a soapbox on stage. I might say something like, at the end of the show, say, God bless you, thank you so much, have a great night, that kind of thing. Or I might say, man, in the middle of the show, I might say, isn't God great? How much fun are we having tonight? Boom, and then take off into another song. I never get up on a soapbox, but it's my hope that if even one fan is having a rough time and let them, you know what, my life sucks. It's not going the way I want it to. It's not going the direction I want it to. Dave always seems so happy and so positive. What does he have that I don't have? And well, he's always, he always brings up the Lord, I guess, in his interviews and this and that. Maybe that's what I need. And if one person turns back to the Lord because of anything that I might have said, it's all worth it.
Okay, and let me ask you this question. Okay, and I amen to that. But when you feel that right or left foot getting up on that soapbox, and all of a sudden now you've kind of you've stepped out of your comfort zone, or maybe you stepped into your comfort zone. Do you ever hear that little voice in the back of your head that may find that preaching and or sharing the gospel may be offensive to other people in the audience that don't want? What do you do to back off at that soapbox? How do you step off of it?
Well, when I'm on stage and I'm out there, I don't go on that soapbox. Period. I just don't.
Okay.
When I'm talking to fans after a show, and they're like, "Oh man, that's so great! Everything's just taken off. I'm so happy." I'm like, "Thanks so much. Just keep me in your prayers." And they're like, "Oh yeah, man, well for sure." And you don't know if you're talking to somebody who never has prayed a day in their life, but maybe now put a spark in their head.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean, or
Sure.
something. But that's as far as I go during shows. I'm not afraid to talk about my faith. I'm not afraid to talk about any of those things. And I don't feel like anything I've ever said would be offensive to anybody else. My beliefs don't have to be your beliefs. They're just my beliefs.
Sure,
you know what I mean? And yeah, it's my opinion. It's the way I was raised. It's the way I love, it's the way I choose to live my life. And I in no way, shape, or form dictate the way or would ever say anything that would make someone who doesn't believe the way I believe,
right,
feel awkward or bad, or it's just my thing. But I don't take it too far on stage. I never would. And I don't take it too far when I'm talking to fans. But, here's a for instance. So I had a fan walk up to me and after one of my shows, and she says, my sister's got something on her heart and she'd like to talk to you. Would you mind talking to her? I'm like, yeah, she's afraid to ask. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course, And she asked, she had some hurt in her life, and we talked about it, and it was awesome.
I want you to hold that thought. I'm going to interrupt you right now because we're trailing out of this first segment. We've got a whole new format that we're doing here at the network. We usually do 3 breaks during an 1-hour interview. But as the light flashes right now, I'm going to go along with this. Paulie's going to guide me along here because it's an all-new system, and I'm really, really into this. But I want you to write down on paper where we're going to come back on the second segment because I want to find out about being sexy on stage. Now, it sounds really, really no homo, but I'm gonna talk about that. We'll come back on the second segment. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Group, brought to you by Intertalk Radio with Dave McElroy. It won't go anywhere, guys.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Hey, this is Brian Culbertson, and you're listening to my dude, Jackie Bertoni, on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Guys, welcome back to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio. Connect all things music. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about real quick, if I may, before we progress onto this amazing interview. I'm really proud to be a worldwide ambassador for Jambox, JAMBOXX.com. It's a revolutionary new instrument with an old take on situations where, be it a professional like myself and like Dave, where we're still blessed to be able to play. We're able to use our fingers and our feet and our mind to create music. But those that are less fortunate than we are, the ones that have become paraplegics, ones that have MS that's worse than mine, ones that have lost their limbs, that lost the ability to play music, Jambox is the new appendage of your body. If you no longer could play music, compose music, because you couldn't hold the guitar, play keys, the sax, trumpet, etc. with Jambox. And I want everybody to write this down, jambox.com. Go on to that. Because last week when I had an interview, Dave, with Wyclef Jean, I was, we were proud to introduce Jambox to Wyclef, but Wyclef introduced us to Jambox. He was really, really familiar with it because he has ongoing situations. So I want you as a daddy, I want you to put this in the back of your pocket. I want you to go on after the interview. Don't break it up now. Don't go on now. But go on and look at Jambox and get a box of tissues, brother, because it's amazing watching brothers and sisters that could no longer thought they were able to play music, compose music, are doing it now because of Jambox. So that's my soapbox. That's my soapbox. And to the listening audience. Yeah, it's awesome, man. And
you know what? I did not know that you had MS. One of my dearest, closest friends in the world, my vocal coach, has MS, and it just, my heart goes out.
And I have relapse remitting, and my life is normal for the lack of it. My wife and Paul and Florentina would argue the fact that I'm normal by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact is, people don't define me from my MS. But when Jambox came to the network and they came up with this idea of the fact that my name in the industry being synonymous with being one of the top calls, but I don't care about that. I've got 30 years under my belt, but I'm also a patient of MS for 22 years. And the days that MS kicks my ass, on my right side doesn't want to really cooperate with me, and I become the whitest guy on Soul Train, then my wife will come and she'll turn off, she'll take the mics away from me and tell me to get out of the studio. But now with Jambox, it's what I'm lacking on my right side it's my new right side, man. And that's about as far as I'm going to go. I want everybody to get involved with this.
I'll check it out.
Please do.
Yes,
but I want to talk to you, and I'm not going to let you walk away from this, because when we came off the last segment, we talked, and even on break, the audience doesn't hear what we're talking about beforehand and during the break. But out of respect, the fact is I'm going on 35 years of marriage, and Dave asked me, please don't bring up the family, and meaning the fact about the wife and the children and so on and so forth, and it should be private. But I do want to find out one thing. And Paul, if I hear from you again, Paul, is saying that it's not my niece that's asking, I'm going to knock you in the head. But the fact is, Dave, when you're up on stage and you're promoting yourself, you're a good looking brother. We have a thing called fans. We have a thing called groupies, and and so on. And we know who we go to bed with. We know who we wake up with. But we also know a lot of people in common. We won't mention any names that have stepped out of their wheelhouse and are paying dearly for it. Now, with that said, and when you are up, and I don't want to use the word preaching, but you are talking about your faith and God is good, and even at a meet and greet before or afterwards, has it ever, is it ever quelled or has it ever stifled your sexiness, your ability to gain that situation? Share with me, and how do you stay away from that?
I think it comes in a couple different pieces to answer that question. So
go ahead.
I grew up very European style, right? So both my grandparents came from the old country, and so we grew up eating very clean, being very healthy, and working really hard. So if I showed a picture of you when I was 17, you'd fall over. I was shredded at 17, not because I was lifting weights and all that. I was a 4-sport athlete, but they didn't even make me train because my parents worked us so hard and fed us so well that I just, in genes, whatever, I was just naturally, really strong. So, and then I went on to play D1 sports. I was a Minnesota Gopher, and and I played D1 sports, and I've always maintained a healthy way of life. So, and now with music, I need to be the same way. So, it's part of your persona. It's part of who I am. My lifestyle is that of a healthy. I eat well. I'm working all the time, using my body. If I can't work on my property or doing things like that, then I'll hit a gym when I'm on the road and just try and stay in shape. And because it's the way I am. So, but that does translate onto the stage because, I'm a mover on stage. I got a wireless mic, and I'm moving left and I'm moving right, and I'm slapping hands with fans. I just love the physical contact with fans.
Absolutely.
And if somebody reaches out, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to give them a high five, or maybe just cup their hands or whatever it is. So and that takes you remember from your days, and it takes a lot of energy to do that and still hit every single note. You know what I mean? To not go flat or not get pitchy, so you've got to stay in good shape. Now, it's funny because my creative director, whenever I'm at the gym, and she'll call me up and I'm training. Can I call you later? She's like, you working your money makers? That's what she calls my butt and legs. And I'm like, come on, man.
Is her last name Weinstein here? And let's talk about that for a second here. Yeah, man.
So I'm like, no, not today. Okay. And, so there's a certain element to that, and I don't mind that, and I don't care about that. I just, and when I get off the stage and I'm talking, I'm never not going to be real with my fans, period.
Sure.
And I don't care, I don't even, until you mention it, it never even occurred to me that it could affect my sexiness, but it doesn't matter to me if it does. You know what I mean? I think when I'm face to face with somebody and we're enjoying a great conversation, that's as sexy as anything else. But it doesn't mean I'm trying to be sexy with them. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and some get it and some don't. In the early days, you know what I mean? Like I'd walk off stage in between sets and go see some friends that were out in the audience, and I've literally had women come running up and straddle me with their legs and arms and go, oh my God, you're so sexy. They're drunk. I'm like, hey, thanks a bunch. And can you get off now?
Yeah, I know.
People do weird things, but
it's a slippery slope, man. That's what fans are all about.
Oh yeah. So to answer, I think to get to the root of what you're asking is that I don't let that get to my head.
Good.
I'm grounded in my faith, and I've got people around me that I love and care about, and I'm not going to hurt them, and I've got so many people in my life that keep me grounded, and my faith is strong. Man. And
definitely,
I'm not going to make those choices that are going to hurt me or anyone around me that I love. And that includes my mom, my dad, everybody. You know what I mean? I don't ever want my parents to pick up a tabloid and go, "Oh my Lord." You know what I mean?
Dig it.
And I just don't want that to happen. I won't allow that to happen. So, but
Dave,
but I pray for humility every day. Every single day, I pray for humility. So, and that the Lord just keep me grounded and remind me that I'm doing this for Him every single day. So,
yeah, it's a weird business that we're in, man. I mean, it's a situation
really weird.
Yeah, and it's like, and we keep it again. We try to keep it. I've never been a person that was involved with drugs. I mean, I was around it 24/7. I'm 57 years old, but I started working with Tower of Power when I graduated from high school. Oh yeah. And now all the boys are celebrating 50 years this year. They're all clean. How we made it through, or how they made it through the debauchery of drugs and so on and so forth. I mean, look at all the brothers and sisters that we've lost that we may not know personally, but that have been taken by the word drugs. Did Dave ever have a time in your life, if you want to share with your listeners out there, if you can open the eyes, were you ever a victim of drugs?
No, man. I've never had a drug in my body, with the exception of prescription drugs.
Sure, of course.
And like you need these antibiotics, that kind of thing. But I was always an athlete, and I came from a really grounded family. You know what I mean? And I was really raised in an old school, old world kind of way. And I never, it was great because, especially in college, when things are really wacky. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I haven't drunk until my ass is almost fallen off, because I have a handful of times. And you know what I mean? And we've all been down that road, but it's never, drinking is a regular part of my life. So I don't want to paint that picture. I could go months without having a drink, and then some friends want to have a drink. Okay, have a couple of drinks. So drinking is not a factor in my life. But I'm saying, there's been times in college and whatnot where I partied hard, and everybody I think did. But drugs never an issue. It was nice because in college I always had my sports. I'm like, you know what, guys? I'd say, we get drug tested all the time. I can't take that risk. So I had an outlet an explanation as to why, it's not cowardice, but it was the excuse that I used to say, hard pass. I don't want anything to do with that. And I've seen some friends go way down some bad roads with drugs and lost friends to drugs. And I know people that have died because of drugs. And there's a kid I knew in high school, and everybody says, weed, so harmless, weed's harmless, weed's harmless. Well, weed's harmless until you go to a party that somebody laces your weed with something else and you smoke it and your brain fries. And that happened to a kid that I went to junior high with, or grade school through junior high with. And then I heard, about him in high school, somebody passed him some weed, and he went to smoke it. It was laced with something horrible. I don't know what it was laced with. And he literally melted his brain. And now he's just a walking vegetable. You know what I mean? And so I never wanted to be out of control. I think it's part of it. I didn't want to be in a situation where people could do things to me when I was like looped out, or there's just nothing about it that was ever appealing to me. And so I just steered clear of it. So, yeah.
And I wanted to ask that question. I have to ask that question. I interviewed Jamie Wallum, the drummer from my good friend and the drummer from Tears for Fears. And he asked me before the interview, would it be okay if I shared with the listening audience worldwide my sobriety of 7 years? And I said, bro, absolutely. My friend David Romero, it's been a year, 2 years, this April, I should say, that he had not a heart surgery, he had a heart transplant. And this is my brother Dave Romero. I love you, brother. And Dave was the one that took my gig from Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I will say this to the day I'm dead. And we always laugh about it, man. But the bottom line is he chose my show to talk to the fans worldwide about what it's like to be a 59-year-old man with a 28-year-old heart. So if you and if I can lift the spirits of somebody with MS, I mean, I'm not going to walk away with what it is, but it doesn't define me. But what I do want to find out from you, brother, I want to move forward here. I want to ask about. It's 2 words called "Without You."
By the way, I got to stop there. 2 things.
Go ahead, please.
When you said Tears for Fears, immediately, na 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 na. Oh, I'm pumping my head.
Yeah, man.
I love. Okay, and then you said Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I almost lost my stuff. I did not know you were part of Earth, Wind, and Fire for a while, dude. You have no idea how many times I have listened to their albums. Like, seriously. And I've used Earth, Wind, and Fire as a descriptor. I'm like, you know how there's that one moment in every song that makes the song for you, right? Mm-hmm. And like that one little moment like that, and it could be a measure or 2 measures, and it's like, and Earth, Wind, and Fire has one of those moments. For me, is like there's a fantasy when the tom-toms go off, and it goes, you know, that little 2 measures. It's like, I love that. You know what I mean? And I wonder, like, I love that second right there. But anyway, you were about to say something.
No. And when you get a chance, I want you to go back on jackiesgroove.com, and I want you to scroll down. I've interviewed Earth, Wind, and Fire. I want you to enjoy. I mean, this is stories. That's awesome. That's from all the first generation. I got Larry Dunn coming on. You know, the Innovator. I've got Al McKay coming on, the Innovator. And then I've got the the current crew of Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, but it's not about me; it's all about you. So, I'm going to talk about "Without You," which is your current.
Do you remember Spyro Gyra?
Come on, please.
Do you remember Spyro Gyra? Did you ever see them live? You remember the percussionist? That guy was insane. He would tape his fingers, tape them up, and play the cymbals and the hi-hats out with his fingers. Like just smash on them. It's what we do, man. It's like, it's so funny because we talk about the diversity, you know, and about, you know, and without you. But I want to ask you a question. Yeah. What is your writing process? And let's kind of segue this, and let's kind of meld it together. When you wrote "Without You," which is your current single, what was your writing process of that? What was your inspiration for that song? Well, I'm a really happy, positive guy. We talked about it before. I love being happy. I love making people laugh. Look at my website. It says "Living Life One Laugh at a Time." Well, my previous single was a breakup tune, which was a song that's not really written about in country. It's written, it was written from the perspective of guy and a girl break up. I'm good, you're good. Let's just go our separate ways. But then later on, it's revealed that the guy's not quite so good. And if you really listen to songs, there's subtle changeovers, like for and I'm not thinking about you, to and I'm thinking about you, and so it talks about that. And like you and I were sitting in a bar, and we were having beers. I might not. Well, with you, I might, because you seem to be pretty cool, But you might not say to your average guy, "Dude, I miss you so bad. You're just killing me right now." Guys don't do that, and they don't write songs about that in country. So I wrote that, but it's kind of a Debbie Downer song. It's a good song, and it's meaningful. It's a powerful song, but it's So I'm like, I want to write a happy summertime love song that talks about the kind of things that people in love do, and the fun they share, and the good times they share together. And that's the headspace that I was in when I wrote this with Bridget Tatum. So Bridget wrote She's Country for Jason Aldean, several other top tens. It's written for some really great artists and some really big artists, and insanely talented writer, insanely talented artist in her own right. She's amazing singer, guitar player. And we locked down and wrote 6 songs together with some other people. We just rocked out these songs. And this particular song I was just like, I want this to be the kind of thing where people driving down the road want to crank this up on their radio and go, yes, that's my life, or yeah, that is awesome. That is country living. That is how we love on each other. And that's what we're doing, So that's the headspace of when we wrote it.
And I'm not going to sit there and be the Barbara Walters here of radio, but if you could talk to a younger Dave, let's go way back. If you can talk to him right now, what would you say to him? And I'm always curious, what would you say to him? What would you change? What would you advise him of to keep it on the straight and narrow?
Oh, man.
Tough question, but it's an honest question.
So I'm going to give you a really brutally honest answer then. I got asked this question about 2 months ago, and it completely threw me for a loop, and that never happens to me. My brain runs pretty fluid, and I usually, but So I made it comical. I said, if I could tell Dave one thing, 15-year-old Dave, one thing, and I couldn't think of anything, so I said, lock the bathroom door.
I love it. Okay, we won't lead into that, man, because we've all.
But here's my brutally honest answer. The brutally honest answer is don't give a piece of yourself away. Why? Every time you make a choice that you know is against your core values, it's just a slippery slope, and then you give more and more of yourself away. Before you know it, you're somewhere you never intended to be. And that happened to me, and I had to get down on my knees and say, I wanted the heart of that young boy back, right, that could feel the Lord deeply. And sometimes you get caught in life and you're busy, and you forget to pray, and you know what I mean? And all of a sudden things start going sideways. You know what I mean? And so, and it happens in the smallest ways. And that's what I caution young kids about all the time, is be true to yourself. If you don't feel a certain way, don't act like you feel a certain way. Don't do this because you think it's cool to do this. You know what I mean? And because it'll make you more popular, because it all leads, every time you give a piece of yourself away, it just leads to giving more and more of yourself away.
I love it.
Does that make sense?
You know what I mean? Selling yourself short. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Nobody knows it more than us insecure musicians. I don't care what level of fame we've achieved in life. And that's a good question I want to ask you too. What separates D-Mac in the way of, what separates you from getting lost in the glorification, of being successful in this industry, and keeping it for the benefit, the positive, versus glorifying? You know what I'm saying on this? What keeps you grounded?
Rather than becoming about me, what keeps it from becoming about me and making everything internalized, what you're asking, and pride. And so that's one of the main reasons I pray for humility every single day. I ask the Lord to keep me humble and to remember every day that this is His and not mine. Because number one, this gift is God's gift. It's not my gift.
You dig it.
I didn't come with it on my own. He gave it to me to glorify Him. And so whether that's just being a good human being and living by example, whether that's being, just whatever, speaking, about the Lord, getting Him to be known to all those that are out there, so we can affect that one fan maybe, or whatever it is, however He wants to use me and use the music that's His to use. And I'll tell you, that leads back to my other story. I had a very successful business right out of college, or shortly after I graduated college, and I had a very successful business. And in the beginning of that business, I kept saying, Lord, thank you for the gifts you're pouring down on me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is all yours. And the company got bigger, and it got bigger, and it got bigger. And before you know it, I was starting to feel like it was about me and what I had accomplished. And let me tell you something, the Lord took me to my knees shortly after that. And that's a lesson I'll never forget. And he, he reminded me that he was rewarding my faithfulness. Not rewarding, but he had blessed me. And this was His gift, and I was to use it for His good, which I was doing. But in my brain, I was moving to the side of ego. Does that make sense? And He did. He took me to my knees, and I won't ever forget that. Now, having said that, I've got a lot of great people around me that keep me very well grounded. The guys in my band are amazing Christian guys. I asked the Lord when I felt Him moving me toward music. I said, "Is this something?" that I had a fully successful business when I felt Him moving me back to music. And finally, I'm like, Lord, is this really what you want me to do right now? And finally took out the 2x4 and He laid it on me. I'm like, okay, I get it. So I started moving, and the Lord has opened up these great doors for me. And I said to Him, I said, all right, Lord, if you want me to do this music, I don't want to be surrounded by the ugly people in music. I don't want that to be a part of my life. Right. And He has done nothing but surround me with amazing, great guys. The guys in my band are fantastic. We have rules that we follow. You know, like we talked about earlier, you ever tempted? Well, we've got rules. Like, nobody gets backstage onto our bus or backstage unless you are a family member or you are somebody that you've been dating for a long time. Not like some new girlfriend or something like that. It's got to be a known factor. They don't get to bring their friends back. We control who comes, backstage and anyway. So we've got a lot of rules in place with the band, and but it's about faith. It's about humility. It's about every time I'm on stage, I know that I'm there to promote the Lord. It's not about me. It's about what I'm doing for Him. And
let me ask you this question.
I've been lost in it. Yeah,
I'm gonna jump in the last 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes here. With that said, it's perfect that you led up to this, but I want to know one thing that you would leave as advice, a lesson, and think about this, or legacy to those around you in 2 minutes. Then I got to stop you. I'm going to give you 1 minute to answer that. What
or just in life?
What's the takeaway from Dave, McElroy? What is the takeaway with you?
Takeaway is be good to each other. Be good to each other. Love those around you, and it makes the world better than. And I know it sounds so cliche. Make the world better when you thought it, but okay for the high school kids. If you see the goth kid that's sitting in the corner all by him or herself, or the heavy-set girl or guy that's eating lunch by himself, go sit next to him. When you're walking by, say, hey, how you doing? You might be the only person that sees them that day or talks to them that week. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And you could make their day, their week, their month. So if you have an opportunity to make somebody else's life better, make somebody laugh, be genuine as you can possibly be loving to those around you. That's what I'd say to everybody out there. Yeah. I
love it, man, because I got to tell you, we have a whole new format here at Jackie's Groove, and it's letting the interviewee, the Dave, the Mac, the D-Max, everybody that I interview, it's all about them. Everybody can read about you on Wikipedia. Everybody can read about you on your website. And speaking of your website, please, everybody go visit Dave McElroy, and that's DAVEMCELROY.
It's MCELROY. MCElroy.com.
And do yourselves a favor. Go on and patronize this gentleman. Don't steal the music. You go out and pay for the music, man. We got roofs over our heads. And Dave, I want to thank you immensely, man, for your honesty, for your openness. It's what makes us successful here.
There's not many interviews where you can do that. So thank you so much for allowing me to just be me.
Brother, and always, like I said, we didn't have enough time to bring in Florentino, the CEO, but I'm going to use his line. You've now been jumped into the Intertalk Media family, Jackie's Groove family, and there's no getting out. So whenever there's something new, please have Nicole reach out to us, and we're here 100% behind you, man.
You.
I'm a big fan of your music, man. I love you guys. Do me a favor, go out and love Nowhere with you as much as I do in the last couple of days. I kind of checked it out. So with that said, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Media, Connect All Things Music, and my amazing in-studio guest, Dave McElroy, D-Mac. Love you, brother.
Have a great day, y'all. God bless you.
Man, knock them dead. We'll see you on the road, man. You guys be well. Peace through music, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you
much
so
love. Much love, brother.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be the music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing.
you're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.